Welcome back to another episode of Marketing and Mindset with Matt Miller. And today we're going to be going over an episode all about adopting a growth mindset. And I'm going to be sharing the few things that I've learned to be true that's helped me stay motivated, driven, and goal-oriented. So as I mentioned, it's nothing about money, but it's all about learning and growth and making progress. And I'm going to be sharing the three things specifically that I've known to be most important about adopting a growth mindset. And this episode is for anybody that might feel stuck, stagnant, not making progress, and not learning on a daily basis. So I'm going to jump into it. The very first thing to adopting a growth mindset is to become a lifelong learner. And I think a lot of us, after we graduate school and we get done with classes, we typically stop reading books, we stop reading textbooks, and we stop learning altogether. However, people that are goal-oriented and driven do the opposite, and they start learning. And that's when they start reading books and they start listening to podcasts. So it's very important to become a student and always be a student, because there's always more to learn, always more to progress, always a new skill to develop. There's always something else. One thing that I do on a daily basis is read. And I've developed a habit of reading either physical copies of books or doing it via audio. So on the car ride to work, I'll typically put in an audiobook and listen to that for anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes. And then I'll do the same thing on the way home. And then if I have a lunch break at work, sometimes I'll also put on the audiobook there. And I believe that reading is the most important thing that we can do in order to learn. And you hear the phrase that leaders are readers. And you also hear that the most successful people in the world, they're always reading, and they typically read about a book a week. So about 52 books in a year. And something that's amazing about books is you can download a decade or even a lifetime of somebody's value, of somebody's knowledge, and you can read it in a sitting or in a week and finish that book. So books provide a ton of value. And it doesn't take a lot of time to read. And this is where it gets really interesting. So if you're able to craft out 15 minutes of your day on the way to work, and you take that time to read a book, and then you take 15 minutes on your commute home, and then you also find 15 minutes throughout the rest of your day. Maybe it's at the gym when there's a lot of downtime, or cleaning the dishes, or some other activity that welcomes you to read or listen to a book. If you can do 45 minutes a day for just 5 days out of the week, if you look at that over an entire year, that's 11,700 minutes, and that's the equivalent of reading 24 books. The average book is about 8 hours in length if you read it on audiobooks through Audible. So if you do 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week for a whole year, that's over 11,000 minutes, which is the equivalent of 24 books. So if you think about it that way, at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, if you've taken information from 24 books, it's really going to set you apart from the crowd. And then in addition to reading books, you can also listen to podcasts. You can do the same thing. You can do the same math. And podcasts are even better because you don't have to pay attention as closely. So sometimes it's better while you're at the gym, for example, to listen to a podcast because you don't have to concentrate as much. But those two things, between reading books and then listening to podcasts, I've learned so much over the last couple of years, and I encourage everybody to do those two things. And then after step one, which is becoming a lifelong learner, step two is researching what you don't know. And it's very important to be willing to admit that you don't know a lot of things, and then being able to research that specific topic. So if you're reading or listening to a book or a podcast and there's something that sparks your interest or something that you're passionate about, you should always take that topic and write it down and then research it later on. And then when you research that thing later on, you're going to start learning all different topics under that umbrella that you're super passionate about. And you're going to start really crafting your knowledge around a specific topic. When I was in grade school, I always played sports, but I never got into lifting specifically. But I remember I watched a YouTube video, and I think the guy's name was Athlean X, or his channel was that at the time. And I started researching about how you can build certain muscle groups and how you're supposed to work out if you can do it 3-4 days a week. You want to train separate muscle groups. And then I started getting into the mechanics of actually lifting. But it all started with that idea and that excitement of, okay, I can start lifting and building muscle and getting better at sports. So I started researching that topic, and then that's what sparked me understanding all the fine details of lifting and working out. And another example is when I first heard about thought leadership and how you can actually share your knowledge and your expertise and make money doing it. And if you think about, some of the thought leaders of today, like a Tony Robbins or somebody that's really good at speaking on stage or writing a book that resonates with a lot of people, what they're ultimately doing is sharing their knowledge, and they're making money doing it. And then once you get pretty good, you can create a course, you can create a membership group, and you can really funnel in a community. So when I started learning about thought leadership, that's actually something that got me into podcasting, because I thought if I could get better at sharing a message and telling a story, then that would lead and open up a lot of doors down the road. So that's something that I did after I started researching how to start a podcast, after I started reaching what thought leadership is. So it's very important to consistently learn and research new topics. And then after step 1 of becoming a lifelong learner and step 2 of researching what you don't know, the third step to adopting a growth mindset is seeking out mentors. And you can think about certain people that have already done what you want to do, or people that are doing currently what you want to do, and you can try to retrace their steps and reverse engineer to how they got to that place and they got to that position. And when you're first seeking out mentors, it's always good to start with a big pool of people that interest you, people that are passionate about what they teach and it resonates with you. And then you can start learning all these different things and really understand who you learn best from and who teaches the best. And then maybe you isolate all those mentors down to just 2 or 3. Then you start learning from them specifically because you learn from them best and they teach it the best way that resonates with you. And if you can figure out what they did to get where they're at, now it's just going back and creating a plan to try to reach their level and then tracking your progress. And it's going to take a lot of work, but at least you're going to be seeing yourself progress and keep moving forward. And 3 mentors that I follow right now is Brendon Burchard, Ed Mylett, and Lewis Howes. And all 3 of those guys have books and they have podcasts. So I'm consistently listening to their content, and they're people that resonate with me and inspire me. And seeking out mentors to me has been very beneficial, and I would highly recommend that to everybody else listening. To summarize the 3 main points of this episode to adopt a growth mindset, number 1 is becoming a lifelong learner. Number 2 is researching what we don't know. And then number 3 is seeking out mentors. And what most of us do is we stop learning after school, but we don't want to do that. We want to make this an opportunity to start learning, to start reading books, to start listening to podcasts. And then once we resonate with a certain author or a speaker, then at that point we can dive deeper and maybe take their course or join their membership or learn more about what they do specifically. And there you have it, the 3 things that I think is most important to adopting a growth mindset, and something that I'm super passionate about and something that I strive to do every single day. Keep making progress and getting better by learning every single day. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back with another episode shortly.